let's get into it. NFL power rankings before the draft. What I think right now. Let me just start by saying, for a lot of these teams, especially at the very bottom, I think they will shoot up after the draft. Based on the people that they choose in the draft, their quarterbacks, weapons, and then I think other teams will fall based on their draft. I'm already kind of predicting that, so this will be another episode repeated, similar to the division power rankings that I did last week. Um, but yeah, this is just for right now. In dead last, the Bengals. Again, this is them without Joe Burrow. Them currently right now, all over the place, a massive disaster. I still think they'll be low on the list even with Joe Burrow, just because their team is it's just not good enough right now. It's not good enough at all. And again, we've seen what happens at almost every Browns quarterback. It could be Baker Mayfield. We don't really know yet. Um, but the Bengals, their team is not good enough. Even if they have an incredible quarterback, Joe Burrow won't be able to support this team. What they need to focus on, why again in my last podcast I said they should probably trade back in the draft, was because if they trade back in the draft, especially in this draft specifically, they can still get a great quarterback and a ton of weapons. Anyways, I still think they'll shoot up in the rankings, maybe not that much if they get Joe Burrow. Next, at 31, the Redskins. I don't predict the Redskins to move much from here. Their whole quarterback situation is still shaky. I'm not the biggest fan of Dwayne Haskins. I thought he would be better. I thought he would be the one that people should trade up for in the draft last year. After what I saw, though, he just seems too inexperienced for me. And again, it's a bad situation there in Washington. It's not a well-run team. The owner does not really care about the team, the players that much. So I'm still going to most likely have them at 31. At 30, the Jets. Sam Darnold, again, they went 7-9 last year, which was pretty good for their team. And they don't have a bad roster. Coaching-wise and defense-wise is not great. They just seem like a mediocre team to me. I feel like they could become the next Lions, where the Lions have a decent roster, but always underperform. And I think that's where the Jets are at right now. 29, the Dolphins. I think they're going to shoot up a little bit. I love the Dolphins' team spirit. Even last year when everyone thought they were going to go 0-16, just tank, they didn't, and they went 5-11, which for them was crazy. With a good, I like their coach a lot. I think he's good. With the right quarterback that they get, which could potentially be Tua, if he's not injury prone or whatever, then I think they could definitely do better than they did last season, possibly 8-8. At 28, the New York Giants. They're I don't know. Daniel Jones he seems like a legit quarterback, but he also seems kind of like Eli Manning, where he could lead your team to the Super Bowl, but he could also just be mediocre. And mediocre will not do it for the Giants right now. They don't have much. They don't have many receivers. They have Saquon Barkley, who's incredible. Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, decent offensive line, okay tight end, almost non-existent defense, and that's what they have. 28 Giants, I could see them going down once the season begins. 27 the Lions, I kind of already mentioned them, same sort of situation. Matt Patricia, not really. I don't have that much faith in him at this point. Matthew Stafford, I love him as a quarterback, but not enough weapons. Lost Darius Slay. Yeah, Lions are 27 for me. 26 the Raiders. You know, I could be wrong here, but the Raiders always and they always seem to be making weird off-season moves. But I don't understand any of the moves they've made this offseason. I don't think they're going to draft well either. So I think they're kind of in the situation where they're in a really good division as well. I think they're kind of in the situation where it's like, I mean, you're kind of in between. I feel like they could be good. They could surprise us like they do most, like the past 2 seasons. But with Derek Carr apparently going out, with whatever's happening, I don't really know what to make of the Raiders at the moment, and I don't really have that much faith in them. 26, I think, is fair for the Raiders. At 25, the Colts. I don't know. I don't know. The Phillip Rivers move to me was not that great. Phillip Rivers is a veteran quarterback, but if Jacoby Brissett didn't work out and he's younger, more athletic than Phillip Rivers and doesn't throw as many interceptions, if he doesn't work out, then I don't know. The Colts have a great roster, they do, but I'm not really sure. I don't really know what's gonna happen. I think should have. I didn't really like the Phillip Rivers trade for them. I think they should have got a younger quarterback to potentially lead them to victory. But at the moment, right now, the Colts, they don't seem to be a threat to me, especially in their division too. Next, the Chicago Bears, another team just like the Raiders. Their offseason moves have been terrible. I think I could argue the Bears' offseason moves have been the worst among the teams. Nick Foles, Mitchell Trubisky, that thing, I'm predicting it's going to go. Maybe Nick Foles will win the first one, last 5 games, then they'll go to Trubisky for like the majority of the season, and then Nick Foles at the end of it, or something like that. There's not going to be a definite winner there, because both those quarterbacks are around the same caliber. Their defense is still formidable, but not as formidable as it once was. And, yeah. Next up is the Browns. I don't have much faith in the Browns either. They're, again, just kind of like the Redskins. They're not a well-run organization, and it's been proved. I was faithful in the Browns last season. I thought they were going to do okay, which for them would be brilliant. That would be unbelievable. They didn't. So the Browns are kind of at that position where they're kind of sticking with what they have, which I'm glad. They shouldn't keep turning people over. It doesn't make any sense. Stick with what you got, see how it works. But, yeah, I don't know. The next up is the Texans. Bill O'Brien kind of messed them over big time. Lost their best wide receiver, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and DeAndre Hopkins. Defensively, not great. Offensively, not great anymore. Got Brandon Cooks, I guess. Different player than DeAndre Hopkins. Can't really help out their offense that much, I don't think. Running back wise, not great. I mean, they're not good. They don't have a good roster anymore. Deshaun Watson is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But it's a situation where, I mean, what's around? His offensive line is terrible. That's been the situation with every single Texans quarterback. And the reason they can't survive is because the offensive line is terrible. Going back to the first quarterback, David Carr, he was sacked like 74 times. That's their problem, and they haven't solved it. They keep why even trade for a wide receiver? The draft is stacked with them. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. 21, the Chargers. I really don't know where they're at. Their situation with the quarterback. Other than that, their defense is good. They have some offensive weapon, but they need to figure out the quarterback. Maybe they'll trade up in the draft or draft somebody. Oh, they actually do have a decent draft pick. They'll probably draft somebody, which will help them out a lot because they need it. So I think the Chargers will shoot up whenever they draft a quarterback, if they do. I saw a report that they were sticking with the guy they have, but I don't think that would be smart. At 20, the Jaguars, led by Gardner Minshew. I don't think they're going to do much. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but right now I have them at 20th in the power rankings because they're a team that you know they're not going to do much, but you play them, and every single game is going to be competitive because they're that sort of team. So, yeah. Next up is, at 19, is the Cowboys. Oh, boy. I mean, the Cowboys are... it's the same story over and over. Dak Prescott wants more money. Ezekiel Elliott needs more money. There's distractions always in Dallas. You can't really... They play football, and then it's 8-8. It's 9-7. It's 10-6. You know, for their roster, it's not good. And then I'm going to roll right in the 18. The Eagles. They have a great roster too, but in their situation, it's not like the Cowboys where it's all the distractions, it's all the injuries. Carson Wentz is a fantastic quarterback, but he can't be fantastic because he's always hurt, and he always is hurt. Or if he's never 100%, he never can play to his max possibility. Their wide receivers, I think it was smart to trade Nelson Aguilar away. I don't know why the Raiders accepted him or wanted Nelson Aguilar, but they got him. I mean, the Eagles, they always make smart moves. They have great management. But I just don't know. Injury-wise, I don't know how they're going to do. I think they might win the division again, but the Cowboys, that's always a coin flip for me. Yeah. Next up is the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams have traded a lot of guys away. Brandon Cooks. They haven't really added anybody on. They extended Andrew Whitworth. But at the end of the day, the roster is still pretty good. And they're led by Sean McVay, who can pull out wins. He still has more to work with this team right now than he did when he first got there. And when he first got there, they went 10-6. So the Rams under Sean McVay are a good team, and you can't overlook them. And I think they're still there in this division, especially in the NFC West. Next up is the Patriots. This is weird to say. The Patriots are going to be at 16th for me in the power rankings, dead in the middle. Now, I could be way off on this. Bill Belichick, I don't think he might not be going all out for it this season. I think he might be trying to get a middle of the way draft pick this year, and then trade up for Trevor Lawrence or get a solid quarterback. Because Jared Stidham is their quarterback. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that's the way they're going to go. The Patriots, their roster is not good. I mean, their defense is good. Their offense is terrible. Now they don't even have Tom Brady. Ugh, but he is Bill Belichick. I could just be completely off here. But for me, I have the Patriots at 16th on my power rankings. 15th, I have the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, again, fantastic coach. Last season, they almost made the playoffs. Would have made the playoffs with the new playoff system. And with a better team, for sure the Steelers can do good. 14, Packers. I don't know if they're going to do much. Again, their division's kind of like Vikings, Packers could trade off. Usually the Packers get the better of them. I don't think they're that good of a team, though. I don't think they'll go that far. They definitely shouldn't have gone that far last year. But we'll see. Next up, I have the Cardinals at 13. They are getting there. Kyler Murray proved out of nowhere last year that he could play. Everybody's saying he's too short. He proved he was kind of like the next Russell Wilson. He played with a terrible roster. Now they have Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins on that offense with Kenyon Drake at running back. That offense is stacked. Defensively, they're not great, but Cliff Kingsbury doesn't really rely on the defense that much. It's all about the offense, kind of like the Chiefs are. The Cardinals are going to be a team. Every game they play, it's going to be a game. Next up is the Panthers. Again, I love the Teddy Bridgewater move. He already knows Joe Brady, knows the playbook, will fit in well. Christian McCaffrey, I think the Panthers are definitely, I think they're going to have a winning record this year. I think they're going to do really good. I love this Panthers team as a whole. They're really good. The Broncos, sort of a surprise to be at 12, but I don't know why. I have kind of like I feel like the Broncos are going to do good. Led by Drew Lock, their coach, he's competent. Defensively, not great, but they just added Melvin Gordon, which could backfire on them. But they also have Philip Lindsay. It's a good backfield. Decent weapons, a wide receiver, a young team, which also helps them. It's a young team, the team that could develop, and I think they're going to finish second in their division next year. Next up, the Falcons. I actually think the Todd Gurley move wasn't that dumb. Yes, he has arthritis, but I think he has a lot to prove, especially in his hometown. Not his hometown, but per se, but where he went to college. And I think the Falcons offensively are, again, still stacked. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Defensively, I think they're better than people say. I think they're, and again, in the NFC South, you don't really know what's going to happen. But I think the Falcons, especially, they caught fire at the end of the year. They're going to be looking to bring it to the beginning of the year as well. They have too good of a team to be as bad as they were last year. At 10th, the Titans. I think they're the best of their division still right now. Ryan Tannehill will have a lot to prove next season. Derrick Henry, oh man, I can't wait to see him play. Even though he's franchise tag, he's going to play. It's what I'm hearing now. That team is again a really good team. Again, I don't know though. That division's so inconsistent. This could be way too high for them. But at the moment, I think the Titans are a playoff team for sure. Next up, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins there. And again, I think he's a game player, game manager sort of quarterback, which is not bad. It works for them. They lost Stephon Diggs, got a ton of draft picks in return. I think they'll build up their team. I don't see them moving past 9th for me, really, at the moment. But defensively, they're good. I think they're a really formidable team. I think they're going to be really good next season. Number 8, the Buccaneers. Again, good offense. Tom Brady at quarterback. What more can you say? Bruce Arians, defensively not great. But I'm fascinated to see because I feel like the Buccaneers could either be really good or they might just be not near as good as everyone thought they were going to be. But for me, they said 8 in my power rankings. At 7, the Bills. I love this team, the Bills. Josh Allen leading them. Stephon Diggs now. Offensively, defensively, they were one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. They're a complete team, and they have one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. Oh my, they're going to be unbelievable. I think they're going to win the NFC East next year by a landslide. They're a good team. Next up is the San Francisco 49ers. I have them dropping off a bit. I wish I could put them higher. I mean, I don't. But they have a great roster. They have a good coach. I think it's a matter of you go to the Super Bowl and then you kind of drop back a little bit. This happened to a lot of the teams. I think it will happen to the 49ers as well. Yeah. Number 5, I have my Seattle Seahawks. Might be a little high for them, but I don't think so. Russell Wilson leading. Just get a better draft. You get more weapons. We just got Philip Dorsett from the Patriots, which also took another weapon away from them. He's a great slot receiver, role player. We don't have Josh Gordon anymore, but Tyler Lockett, just a great team overall. Running backs, the reason we went out of the playoffs is because at the end of the season, every single one of our running backs got hurt. We're going to be formidable next season. I think Seattle is going to do really well. And is in the hardest division in the NFL as well. At number 3, the Ravens. I don't really know what to expect from the Ravens. They have a great roster. They are led by one of the best quarterbacks, the MVP, the current MVP, Lamar Jackson. And again, he could surprise everybody and just do just as good as he did last year. I don't think he will. Playoff-wise, I'm not sure where to stand with him because he hasn't won a playoff game yet. Hasn't come close to winning a playoff game yet. I don't really know what to make of that. But I do think the Ravens, I think they'll be a team to play with next year. I think they'll go out in the playoffs early. I think they'll be another. They might have some. I really don't know. But for me, right now they're sitting at the 3 spot for the NFL rankings. At number 2, the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees is back. Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, Jared Cook, Taysom Hill. That offense is loaded. You could argue that's the best offense in the NFL right now, aside from the Chiefs. I don't know. Rivaling the Chiefs, let's just say that. Defensively, I think they have a solid defense. Not great, but you don't need to have that good of a defense if you can put up a ton of numbers offensively, which I think the Saints will be able to do next season. I think it will be the last season for Drew Brees to potentially win the Super Bowl. So I think everybody's going to go all out. Sean Payton's going to go all out. It's going to be fun to watch. And my number 1 team, the current Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Just obviously they won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Their offense is loaded, and they proved you don't have to have the best defense to win the Super Bowl, which they did, and they came back and won it. Just a fantastic team, and right now they're still in my number 1 spot.